In today's episode, we're going to give you the good, the bad, and the darn right ugly of Porsche Rennsport reunion.
Anyway, Rennsport, gonna be really fun.
I'm not going to waste any of your time. You know who I am at this point. You can watch other videos if you don't, but I'm Tanner Seymour, obviously in the title. This is Rennsport Reunion. We're going to give you guys an inside look into Rennsport Reunion. Specifically, we're going to start off with the GT3R. GT3R is probably the most exciting thing to come out of Rennsport on the world global scale. It's a wild car. We actually got an inside look, and I'm dead serious. Like, we walked up to one of the dudes who developed the car, helped develop the car, Alan, and we just started talking to him. Brandon strikes up a conversation. He starts going off of like, oh yeah, we designed this for this, and last week it was doing this and this, blah, blah, blah. Just gives us like this whole spiel about why they were doing this and, you know, what this was about and all that stuff. So I'm gonna let this clip play. Brandon has the full interview on his channel, or he will, so stay tuned for that. I'll link it down in the description below. Check out Brandon Hartin, go subscribe to him, wait for the full interview to drop, because it's like an unadulterated look at the GT3R and the development of it. So without further ado, let's hear some highlights from Alan on the new GT3R or GT3 Rennsport.
Rid of that.
Oh, you got your nice Porsche to get out? That's great.
Well,
That's
what's it for?
YouTube. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I have a vlog channel for cars and stuff.
We have actually shot for Porsche before, but it was for the 75th, like when they released the Mission X. So as far as Mission X and this, like the GT3R Rennsport, like, what do you feel like are the major, I mean, there's obviously huge differences between those cars. What do you think Porsche is trying to accomplish in creating these two different sections?
Well, this is obviously a pure race car.
Yeah.
It's meant to be driven on racetracks only. So it's no road legal car in any sense. So basically, the modifications you were talking about, the engine. It's based on the race engine for the homologated car.
Okay.
But we've took it a step further. We've had a focus more on the peak power of the engine, and it's got different camshafts and it's got different pistons.
Okay.
So we were able then to obtain these 620 horsepowers.
Oh wow.
And obviously it's got a different exhaust as well.
Yeah. What's the curb weight on the car?
So if we're talking of the pure carbon look car, not the painted one, it's targeted to be 1240 empty, no fuel, no driver.
Oh wow. Okay.
What's like the top speed and acceleration?
Well,
Is that up for?
top speed is I get the question, but it's really depending on your setup, and so it's not an easy answer. Like for instance for a road car, as obviously you're able to adjust the rear wing, and that will obviously change the drag of the car.
So as far as like the GT3 RS, right, like has active aero and things like that.
Right.
Did they leave that out because the lack of weight, like trying to keep weight down, or?
Well, this is a road car.
Yeah.
And it has a different, I would say, focus needs, and as this being a pure track tool, the focus is a different one. So. When you look at the homologated race car, the only aerodynamic adjustable element is also only the rear wing.
Okay.
So we kept that thought.
So it's adjustable to a certain degree, I see.
Right. So you got 5 positions you can adjust the rear wing to, and that obviously would influence your level of downforce and your level of drag hard.
So as far because this is a track car, like in the front, right? You typically will have your frunk. It opens up. You put all your stuff in there. What does the frunk look like for this?
If you want, you can have a look. There's a fuel cell in.
Just a fuel cell?
There's just a fuel. There's just a fuel cell in.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a time.
No worries.
Also, I haven't even seen
So basically, the fuel cell, and you got the radiator.
Massive intake. Yeah, that's the radiator. Wow. And you guys use all the space. I mean,
it is based on the pure race car. So there's no.
So it's already kind of
no
pre-planned. Yeah.
Trunk in that.
Yeah, of
area.
course, of course. Does that just look like a full carbon vehicle?
Yes, it does. Basically, you can see we have a few parts which are still in carbon, which is the roof, which is the wing,
yes,
and which is part of the hood.
Okay.
And this is basically how the.
So that's what it would look like.
Yeah, exactly.
Unpainted, and this is the Rennsport 7 livery that you guys had for this.
What would you say? How would you summarize this car in your words?
Well, it's a pure, it's a radical, it's an unleashed version of the homologated race car. Basically, it's not sticking to the regulation. It gives you a certain degree of freedom, which obviously Grant and the team from the design department were able to use to make the car look like it looks.
Yeah.
Which is not possible on a homologated race car, because there are certain elements which just are not possible to have them on the homologated car.
Why 77 and not 75?
Yeah, that I'm curious.
Well, I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question to, but when you look back and in the last Rennsport, there was the 935 car presented, and the quantity was also 77.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's a similar trend.
Yeah. We took the homologated car and took it even a step further. Just because it was as we're not bound to regulations. Obviously, we kept everything which is safety related. So as you see, the roll cages and everything is still in the seat. The safety nets, it's same as which is required for a homologated race car.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there were certain degrees of freedom that we were able to use.
Gotcha. So as far as, I mean, the next thing in Nürburgring, how do you feel like this is going to handle or stand up in the Nürburgring track? Like, because I'd assume it's going to go there at some point.
He can't say. No.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you, though.
It's wild. It's wild to see in person. Everything's wild about this. You look at every design element. Like, let's start with the corner, guys. So you start with the corner. You've got this carbon fiber lip, but it also looks like there's some aero going on underneath there. So you can see that brown line. It looks like something's going on there. And then we even move up, and there's these fins coming out, trying to channel the air through the wheel. And the wheel's going to spin that air and push it back. And it looks like that's to cool off the engine right there. You see the stream and this little shelf that's going to capture the air a little bit more. I mean, like, you look at any, and then you've got the tow hook recessed in there. You've got just the bonnet latches right there. You've got this wild headlight design going on. And it's just every single little inch of this car has something wild just going on right now. It's really crazy to see. So yeah, here is the GT3R. I gotta say, in person, it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. They're making 77 of them. I think it's a missed opportunity. They should have made 75. Pretty cool car. I will say the car is quite insane. I love it. I wish, oh man, I wish. The only thing I want about this car is street legal. And I understand that, like, that would take away some bits and parts. But maybe there's going to be a GT3 RS. No, there's a GT3 RS. GT3 Rennsport Street. Rennsport for the Street, RFS. I don't know the name. They'll come up with it, but I would hope that, like, there is this final send-off for the 911 naturally aspirated engine that is going to be street legal, and the final, you know, love child or love language, love goodbye, whatever, to the 911 as we enter, like, the hybrid era and the electronic era. Anyway, put your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd like to hear if I'm wrong or if you have different thoughts on the 911 GT3R. Now, let's talk about some of the best things about Rennsport. Number one, the people. I got to see some of my close friends in the Porsche community. I got to see Rod Emery. I got to talk to Jeff Zwart for a little bit, get some photos with him. It was awesome. People were so accessible. In fact, I got stopped by Julian, and I'm actually going to have Julian share his Road to Rennsport story because it's pretty cool. So we're out here with Julian. Tell us your story about how you got to Rennsport, man.
So I bought this car 2 months ago. I bought it in Mexico City. I live in Puerto Vallarta. I've been living there for 8 years, and I jumped on it on Sunday, and did one stretch from Guadalajara to Tucson. My parents live in Tucson, so I stayed with them for a night, and then I did Tucson to Malibu. And from Malibu, I came up here.
What was your favorite part of the drive?
The favorite part of the drive was Malibu to Rennsport. Yeah, I mean,
it's a gorgeous road.
It's very scenic.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that they closed down the number one, because I wanted to take the number one all the way up.
Yeah.
But the small stretch of Malibu area is beautiful.
Dude, like I said, once we hit California, like coastline California, we started getting to the roads because we're camping at this little cabin place, and the roads were just like,
yeah.
Oh, I wish I had my 911. I was like, this would have been perfect. But
actually,
yeah.
I do have another favorite part.
Yeah.
And that was actually coming into Rennsport. It was about 45 minutes out, and I started seeing a bunch of Porsches, and I just felt home.
Oh man, it's like a big family reunion, which is
exactly.
So weird. I mean,
it is weird. I've met so many people. You
Yeah.
know, you just strike up conversations, and you have so much in common.
Oh yeah, and like you just like I was so in shock when you're like, is Tanner? Is that you? And I was like, what? Yeah, like so many, it was awesome. Like, and
Yeah.
I have to say thanks for stopping me, man, and sharing the car, because this is awesome.
Of course.
Coming from Mexico, that's a crazy drive. 2,000 miles already on it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's insane.
No, well, actually, total, I think it's probably around 36, but
that's awesome, man.
meant to be driven.
Dude, that's great. Julian, thank you so much.
Thank
dude.
you, man.
I appreciate it. The people are awesome. The second thing is the cars. Obviously, the cars are insane. You've got 959s, 918s, 917s. You've got 906. Wow, there's a lot of 9s out there. There's a lot of 9s. We'll change it up. GT4 RSs, GT3 RSs, GT2 RSs were out there. It just was a crazy display of cars. Multi-million-dollar cars to your basic $30,000 Cayennes to even your 914s that were getting love and attention because they deserve it, and they do deserve it. 914s are awesome. But it was just an insane amount of display. And in fact, one of the first cars I saw, we also saw the Hoonipegus. Pretty freaking awesome, I will say. In person, I talked with Hoonigan. I'm fingers crossing here, knock on wood. Sounds like we might set something up. So, Hoonigan, if you're watching, hi. Can't wait to shoot the Hoonipegasus. I'll be hitting you guys up here shortly. One of the coolest cars that was on my mind to go see is actually a 911 Targa G-Body from Carbone. And I actually bumped into Pavel, the owner of Carbone, and we got a exclusive interview with him and his car to kind of talk about his latest project. Introduce yourself and introduce Carbone.
All right, I'm Pavel, founder of Carbone. Carbone is a place where we combine design with art. We do custom builds, custom parts for Porsches. And here is a beautiful car I want to show you. The car name is Criollo. Why Criollo? Because the car is was originally painted to mocha brown. It would be too obvious to name it Mocha as the nickname, like everybody does. I've tried to find a good name. What Criollo is a cacao bean, like the highest level of cacao bean. That's the name. That's why I decided to use that name for that car. And that car is pretty special. The previous owner was a Porsche specialist from Central area. Unfortunately, he died because of cancer, and the family decided to sell a car I wanted to buy that car because of the amazing upgrades, like short stroke, different gear ratio, upgrades in the suspension. The car didn't look well. I wanted to put my energy to rebuild the car in terms of redesign the car, find a new way of the, how to say it, like to find a new place in the world in Porsche culture for that car. There's a lot of upgrades that refer to art direction from my city, Łódź, Poland. It's named Unism. Unism is a kind of art with not figurative, how to say it, like you see a pure pattern instead of seeing a cat, dog, any memorable.
You can't see anything familiar in it. It's unique.
That looks familiar.
Yeah.
Pure pattern. I use that Unism. Look at the crest. Here is the sample of that. We painted the car to the original mocha brown. However, with matte finish. It was some kind of an experiment. It could look terrible or amazing. In my opinion, it turned out amazing. This is not a wrap. No compromises in that car. Let me show you the interior.
I think this is where it gets really wild and beautiful. Just.
Thank you. Does it look familiar to you? Porsche used that pattern in 70s, late 70s, in 911s, 924s. I incorporated the pattern, but changed the way to show it. Original Pasha contained black and white, like a checkered white and black pieces. I perforated the leather, and we did stitching. We combined it with amazing quality leather, which is German. Nowadays, German leather is quality leather, not Italian anymore. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't want to say anything bad. Sorry, just facts. Let's go deeper into the interior. There's a lot of beautiful details, like look at those upholstered, how you name them, levers. There is a dash trim that refers to early 911s. The gauges were redone as well. The RPM gauge looks totally different than gauges from the era. Come on, jump into the car.
Yeah.
Look at the bezels and spherical glasses. They're spherical, and bezels are knurled on the walls, on the side walls. They refer to classic vintage stopwatches from 60s, 70s. Let's go to the rear side of the car. Here's our bypass muffler. There's a button on the dash to turn it on, turn it off. So you have loud mode and silent mode. A lot of retro futuristic things like those bumper guards. Retro futurism is, imagine you go back to 70s and think about the future. This is what retrofuturism is. They were designed that way. The same with the door cards. Door cards. Look at those sharp shapes. They refer to the imagination of the future from the past. They still are usable. Like when you do longer trips, there's a how we call
armrest.
It armrest. You can put a bottle of water here, small storage, strap opener. Yeah.
Man, it's wild. And the carpeting too is just,
Yeah.
it's all next level. Just nothing like it. Lastly, the coolest thing was the racetrack, man. Oh, Laguna Seca is such an amazing racetrack. This was my first experience at Rennsport, first experience at Laguna Seca. It was amazing. The cars were going constantly. We were in the tag heuer tent, and it was set up like a museum. Like, you'd see all their cars and what each race that they won and participated in. And the coolest thing about that, though, and I'll always remember this, was I was walking by the first like Le Mans winning 356. And I just see guys get in the car, they're getting it ready, open up the engine, they're checking things. I'm like, oh, cool, like they're gonna start it up. No, they start it up and then they just go. They just race the thing. It was insane. Like, my mind was blown. I'm like, that thing runs and it's going. It's like seeing a museum piece come to life right in front of you. And it's just wild, wild. Every car was going out to race. It was just insane, unimaginable. Every car you saw at some point was gonna make it on the track.
What? That was the Tiger!
But unfortunately, this leads me to the bad part of Rennsport, and this is the number one thing that ticked me off, was Laguna Seca itself. Laguna Seca was only cool at, like, man, it like has moments of coolness. You're walking around all of Rennsport and you can see glimpses of the track at every point, but you can never see the full track. And that's partly to do because all the areas that you get a good vantage point at, they block it off. Not only is there this double fence that runs along the entirety of the track that kind of obscures your view, which is ridiculous. You know, I get it why. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, it would be really cool if they just allowed, like, what's the real danger of just allowing people to go past that first fence? I really don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like they just put so many things in front of the track that it's kind of obscured your view at every turn. You never got a point where you could just fully see a car go through a full run in a pretty spot. It was always obscured with just all this crap in front of you. That was super disappointing. I wish it was like back in the day where you'd come up and there's honestly just like a chain link fence and that's it. And it's just a, small barrier and you can see the cars again. Because I feel like as a kid, if I was watching this, I'd hear the sounds and I get glimpses of the cars, but I wouldn't know, the full extent of what they're doing. I will say it was worth the 12 hours of driving, and what a great experience. Make sure you go check out Brandon Hartin. He'll have a YouTube video up soon on the full breakdown of the GT3R, exclusively with one of Porsche's engineers, which is amazing. And yeah, guys, we'll catch you in the next episode. We're coming back out with Sick Alps interviews next week, so stay tuned for those. Very excited to get back into the Sick Alps footage and the stories to tell there, so stay tuned. We've got the Safari 911 back. I have the key right here. It's real. I'm very excited to show you guys. And lastly, I do want to give a shout out real quick to VERO Watches. VERO Watches actually helped me out with gas at this trip, so big shout out to VERO. Thank you so much for supporting me and Brandon, and enjoy the footage, enjoy the photos, hopefully. Yeah, super excited to work with you guys. And another big shout out to Outlaw Gear. Outlaw Gear is your premier source for all these cool bracelets, these race heritage bracelets. They do a really awesome job. They've also got great shirts, hats, anything that you would need to support your love for Outlaw Porsches. Outlaw Gear has got it. Anyway, guys, that's it for this episode. Leave your comments and thoughts of Rennsport Reunion 2023 down in the comments below. Leave your thoughts and comments about the GT3R in the comments below. Help me with the algorithm by liking this video, subscribing. You guys know the drill. I'm trying to break out this next year, guys. Let's see if we can hit 100K in 2024. I'd really, really appreciate it. But I can only do it with you, so make sure you subscribe. Anyway, take care. Appreciate y'all. We'll see ya in the next episode.
About this car, you have to mic yourself up. You're the announcer.
What can I tell you? It's one of the cars. If there was a poster in your childhood, that car should be on it, because it's absolutely one of the best cars I've ever seen. It's a 4-cylinder turbocharged Polo engine, so that means it was cut down from a 6-cylinder
to a 4-cylinder, and it's, yeah, as I told you, it's turbocharged with twin turbos in it, and you have a separate, in Germany we call it Dampfrad, so it's to higher and lower the pressure of your turbocharging. And so far I know it's about 350 bhp. It could be more, but yeah, let's ask Rob, I would say.